So, what are the lasting effects going to be after the actors' strike, and by extension, before that, the end of the writers' strike? Well, I'm going to say this right now. I would not put it past any of the studios and any members of the AMPTP to add something in, you know, from a fine print perspective after everything is all said and done. The voting has been, all yays instead of nays and stuff like that. I would not put it past the studios or the AMPTP to say, okay, we're going to add this in, and they have lawyers. They have a lot of money to do this. I would not be surprised if they have the lawyers add in this stipulation and that stipulation in fine print, unbeknownst to the actors and the writers. I would not. I would not be surprised if that happens. I wouldn't be. Now you might say that's not possible. Then again, you can't put anything past these people and the fact that they want to avoid something like this again. I mean, I could see them adding in a fine print perspective after it's all said and done and all that from a legal deal. I could see them adding in the stipulation of, okay, next time the agreement comes to expiration, that if and they can legally do this. They could say, in the fine print that the actors cannot strike, the writers cannot strike, that they got to continue working while the studios work out a deal for them or work out an offer for them that they have to accept, without a shadow of a doubt. Now you might say that's impossible, that won't happen. But look, the studios lost a lot of money here. That's why they're rushing as we speak to get productions up and running again. You know, flies in my room here. I do apologize. But that's why they're in a rush to get everything back up and running before the year's out. Because they're losing money. So I would not be surprised if studios and the AMPTP by whole would have the lawyers or legal team do that, behind the actors and writers' back after the deals are done, because they will do that. They can do that. You know, that way, the next time this agreement comes up in the next 3 years, you know, and the actors are demanding this and say they'll strike. The studios, the AMPTP could say, oh yeah, by the way, did you read the fine print? And in the studio, and then they'll look at it and be like, well, we didn't add this. We didn't add this. But yet the fine print may say something like, hey, if you strike, you'll get taken to court, or you'll be unemployed and banned from ever acting again, or whatever the case may be. Whatever levy of punishment, they can weigh down upon them. So I could see them doing something like that. Again, some people may not say that's going to happen, but I would not put it past any of the I would not put it past any of the studios, the AMP or the AMPTP as a whole, to want to do something like that to ensure that even when the current agreement comes up, that the actors and the writers continue working while they, along with members of the unions, work out a deal or work out some kind of tentative agreement again. So I could see something. I could see part of the aftermath, as crazy as it sounds. I could see part of it being the studios and the AMPTP as a whole doing that. I can also see the lower tier actors and actresses, and maybe some of the mid tier actors and actresses, deciding, hey, we don't want to be part of this union anymore, and doing what they can to get out of it so they can be freelance actors and actresses and be able to make deals independently with major studios like Warner's, Paramount, Disney, Universal, as well as the more smaller up and coming ones like A24 and others, so that way they can avoid something like this again. I could see those that were affected by the strike financially, the ones that run the restaurant businesses around there that depend on the production crews and, the actors and writers to come in and have a bit of lunch, while during the lunch break and all that to kind of re-energize themselves. I could see them, I could see them, getting on them, I'm not getting on them, but I could see them basically coming up with different solutions. Like I could see, like for anybody that's part of this strike, even though I think it'd just be temporary, I could see some of the restaurants basically being like, you're not allowed here. We don't want your kind in here. And although that may feel like, hey, you're, what's the word? Like you're what's the word I'm looking for? like you're rejecting the service, like oh you're rejecting them, like you're refusing to offer service or to serve them or whatever, you know, that's their right. That'd be the right. Like, hey, we're refusing you. We have the right to refuse you, and that could be just a temporary deal to send a message of, hey, you guys pull a stunt like this again, and we may refuse you permanently. So I could see maybe restaurants and all that in the Los Angeles, Hollywood area and the surrounding areas in New York and Louisville and all that, basically not serving the actors and writers that were strongly behind and supportive, of the guilds in in these situations. I could see them refusing them service because of them taking part of this and basically hurting their businesses by extension, you know, temporarily. I could see it being temporarily, and then maybe afterwards, I could see them being, allowed back in. I could see them being served again and all that. But maybe the manager comes out when that moment comes, if it happens, and says, "Hey, look, we didn't mean to turn you away or anything. Those numerous times, we wanted to send a message that the next time you do something like this, is that the plea or basically, like I said, maybe the managers come out and say, "Hey, look, we apologize for turning you away and not serving you and all that, but we will send in a message to you that the next time something like this happens, make sure it doesn't, or make sure you have something already, lined up and ready to go, or whatever, or at least give them a warning that hey, we might be going on strike, so you might want to shut your business down for for a little bit, maybe open it up once in a while, but shut it down for a bit because hey." We're going to be on strike and we don't want you to lose business, and all that. So, even though they'd be losing business anyway if they shut it down, still, give them at least a warning of, hey, you might want to alter how your business runs right, and, very soon because we might be going on strike, again. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see if that's an after effect to where, these restaurants and fast food places and all that refuse to serve or refuse to serve or turn away all these people that were strongly in support of this that caused all this to happen, caused their businesses by extension to fall. So I could see something like that being the after effect as well. And again, I could see the actors, actresses, and writers, also deciding that were more affected than the other actors, actresses, and writers. I can see the more mid to lower tier ones saying, "Hey, look, we want out of this union, or we want out of these unions, and we want to go become freelance writers, freelance actors and actresses, and we want to make our own deals independently." I could see that happening. I could see that happening in a massive way. And the truth is, the truth is, Hollywood, Hollywood Studios, the AMPTP, and the Writers and Actors Guild, they have no one else but themselves to blame for this possible, in my opinion, not so massive, but decently sized exodus of writers and actors and actresses that want out of the union because of them being affected more than the higher tier ones. The higher tier, more paid writers, the higher tier, more paid actors and actresses. I can see them wanting out to go off and be independent, be, bet on themselves, if you will. And if that happens, I guarantee you this, the effect it would have on the guild, because they'd be losing members on the guild period, because they'd be losing members, would be, you may say it's not going to be a huge hit, but it will have an effect. It will have an effect to where the guilds may just the guilds may decide, okay, look, maybe we should have just taken the first deal when it came around, and maybe we'll just have, and we could have avoided all this. Like maybe Fran Drescher, at the discretion of somebody, might come out and say, hey, look, we don't want to lose any more members. This has been a big life changer for us, a big lesson to be learned. And one of those lessons, because it looks like people want out, is from now on, just take the deal that's first offered to us, and we'll just work from there. And I could see that being something. Maybe not. We don't know. But, here's the thing. We know, and eventually we'll find out more later on, that they didn't get everything they really wanted. And neither did the studios, neither the AMPTP. But the effects, I'm just looking at the after effects. I'm looking at the aftermath of, what is going to potentially, really be altering, be a big altering, if you will, for the studios. because I don't, for studios and the AMPTP and the guilds, the writers and the actors guilds, because I guarantee you the actors guilds and the writers guilds, like I said, they're going to lose members. People are going to want out because they don't want to go through with this again. And by extension, you're going to probably have some businesses like restaurants and all that refuse service to those guild members that maybe the leaders, mostly, and some others that were more supportive, like the higher pay tier actors and actresses and writers. I could see them refusing service to them, like I said, temporarily, and then eventually when they do serve them again, maybe you have the manager, as I mentioned earlier, you have the manager, maybe a group of managers from individual businesses come out and say, look, we didn't want to turn you away. We apologize for that, but we had to send a message that you did this to yourself, and that we wouldn't have refused you had you just taken the first offer given to you and worked something out from there. I guarantee you that would be the message they would. I guarantee you that would be the message they'd send. Like, hey, we didn't want to turn you away because you're great people. We love serving you, but we had to send a message that the next time you try to go on strike, just take the first offer that's given to you and work from there. And that's it. That's it. So, look, this is just me speculating on what I think the after effects could be going forward going forward after these strikes, are now done with. I can see the after effects. Again, I can see actors and actresses wanting of the mid to lower tier, maybe upper tier somewhat, but mostly the mid and lower tier, wanting out of the guild, wanting out of the guild and wanting to be freelance actors and actresses to make their own deals individually with the major studios of the AMPTP and the independent ones. I can see the same thing with the writers. I can see the mid to lower tier writers wanting out to be freelance and go make deals individually with those same studios that I just mentioned. I can see the businesses that were affected, the restaurants and all that around the surrounding areas in Southern California, in places like New York, Florida, Kentucky, wherever. I could see Nevada. I could see them refusing service to some of the higher tier, more paid out actors and actresses and writers. I could see them refusing service to them temporarily, and then when they get ready to serve them again, just basically have the managers come out and say, look, we wanted to send a message that the next time you think about going on strike, think about who you're going to affect, and just consider taking the first offer given to you and work things out from there. I could see that. I could see that happening. I could see that happening, if you will. But again, that's just mere speculation on my part, as what I think the after effects of this whole strike situation in Hollywood, is going to have. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. But we have seen in the past that when these kind of strikes happen, there's always some kind of after effect. There's always some kind of situation that causes things to change drastically on both ends. Like I said before, hopefully the studios and the guilds take what they've learned, take what's happened here, learn from it, and apply it to the next time, and then maybe have something ready to go before the end of 2025 or 2026 and going into 2026, 2027 when they go for another renegotiation. Thus you're giving everybody time, in my perspective, from that point on. But we'll see. Maybe they take the lesson into next year when they make deals with the animation guilds and the other guilds they have to work with. But let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think the effects will be? And until then, I am out.